The great combat arena of the Zarkan Empire roared with noise and fire. Thousands of alien warriors filled the seats, their armor glowing under harsh lights. This place was known across the galaxy as the ground where only the strongest survived. At the center of the arena stood Veyra. She was called the Warrior Woman of Steel. Tall, powerful, and feared by every fighter who had faced her. Her armor was dark red, marked with scars of old battles. In her hands rested a heavy energy sword, humming with deadly force. No one spoke when she stepped forward. The crowd did not cheer. They waited in silence. Because silence meant fear. Veyra had never lost. She had never shown weakness. Not pain, not doubt, not emotion. Across the arena floor stood a small group of humans. They were guests of the Empire, observers only. Humans were known as clever, adaptable, but not strong, not warriors. Among them was Ethan, a young human technician assigned to assist with arena systems. He wore no armor, only a simple uniform. He had never seen real combat like this before. The final opponent was defeated quickly. Veyra moved like a storm. One strike, one fall. The fight was over. The crowd exploded with sound. Victory chants echoed through the arena. Veyra raised her sword, but her face showed nothing. Ethan watched, his heart racing. He had expected violence, but not such control, not such quiet strength. As the noise faded, Veyra turned to leave the arena, her sword still glowing, sweat shining on her face under the lights. Without thinking, without planning, Ethan spoke. "That was sweet," he said softly. The word traveled farther than he expected. It echoed. It landed. Silence fell instantly. Not the respectful silence from before, but a sharp, shocked silence. Veyra froze. Her steps stopped mid-movement. Her grip loosened. The sword slipped from her hand. It hit the arena floor with a loud crack. Sparks flew. Gasps spread through the crowd. Some laughed in disbelief. Others leaned forward, unsure of what they had seen. Veyra turned slowly, her eyes wide, her face burning. No enemy had ever made her drop her weapon. No blade, no blast, just one human word. Her cheeks darkened with color. She lifted one hand and covered part of her face, turning slightly away from the crowd. Whispers exploded everywhere. Did she hear that right? Did a human speak to her? She dropped her sword. Ethan felt the blood rush to his face. He realized too late what he had done. His hands lifted in panic. "I did not mean it like that," he said quickly. "I just meant your control was impressive." But it was too late. The moment was alive now. Unstoppable. Veyra did not look at him. She stood there, frozen between rage and something she did not understand. No one had ever spoken to her like that. Not kindly, not casually, not without fear. The arena master shouted orders. Guards moved nervously, but Veyra raised one hand, still hiding her face. "Enough," she said, her voice lower than ever before. The crowd quieted again, this time in confusion. Veyra bent down, picked up her sword. Her hand trembled just slightly, something no one had ever seen before. She turned and walked out of the arena without another word, leaving behind questions, shock, and a human who did not know whether to run or stand still. Ethan remained frozen, his heart pounding, every eye now on him. He had not challenged her. He had not insulted her. But somehow, he had changed something. High above, hidden behind observation glass, council members exchanged looks. Some angry, some curious. One thing was clear. The most dangerous woman in the Empire had reacted in a way no one expected. And this moment, this single word, would not be forgotten. Before the scene fades, a gentle reminder for those listening. If you enjoy HFY sci-fi stories like this and want to hear what happens next, please consider subscribing to this channel for more epic human and alien stories. Far below, in the dark corridor beyond the arena, Veyra stopped walking, her hand still near her face, her heart racing in a way no battle had ever caused. And somewhere behind her, a human wondered if calling a warrior sweet was the most dangerous thing he had ever done. The arena did not forget the moment. It replayed in whispers, in laughter, in disbelief. A warrior dropping her sword was unheard of. A human causing it was unforgivable. As Veyra walked through the inner halls, her steps were fast and heavy. The metal floor echoed under her boots. She could still feel the heat on her face, not from battle, but from shame. Guards stepped aside as she passed. Some avoided her eyes. Others stared too long. Fear mixed with confusion. Behind her, the arena erupted into sound again. Not cheers this time, but laughter, sharp and cruel. She dropped her sword. Because of a word. Sweet. Each whisper followed her like a shadow. Veyra clenched her fists. Her entire life had been built on control, on silence, on strength, and one human voice had cracked it. Ethan was escorted away by two guards. Not roughly, but firmly, their grips tight on his arms. He did not resist. His mind raced faster than his feet. He kept replaying the moment. The word. The look on her face. I ruined her, he thought. Or worse, I insulted her. The guards said nothing as they led him through narrow corridors. Walls lined with old battle markings and banners. This place honored strength only. They stopped before a wide chamber door. One guard finally spoke. You will wait, he said. Inside, Ethan stood alone. The silence felt heavier than the arena noise. He wondered if punishment was coming. Exile, prison, or worse. Meanwhile, the laughter spread. Warriors mocked openly now. Not Kara directly, but the idea of her. She is losing her edge. Emotion weakens. A human touched her mind. The council convened quickly. Old stone seats filled with armored figures. Their voices sharp, impatient. This cannot stand, one elder said. She represents us. If she is unstable, the empire looks weak. Another added. And the human. He crossed a line. High above them. Unseen, Kara stood in the shadows. She had been summoned, but not invited to speak. She listened. Every word cutting deeper than blades ever could. She should face a test, a warrior lord said, to prove she is unchanged. And the human, another asked, should be punished. Kara's jaw tightened. Her instinct screamed to step forward, to challenge, to fight. But something held her back. Not fear. Something else. Back in the chamber, Ethan paced slowly. His hands shook slightly. He was not built for this world. He knew it. A door slid open suddenly. A tall armored figure entered. Not Kara, but one of her rivals. You embarrassed her, the warrior said coldly. You embarrassed all of us. I did not mean to, Ethan replied quickly. I respect her. The warrior laughed. Respect, he said. You humans think words are harmless. He leaned closer. In this empire, words start wars. The warrior turned and left without another word. The door sealed again. Ethan sat down slowly, his chest tight. He realized then that this was bigger than a mistake. Elsewhere, Kara finally moved. She stepped out of the shadows into the council chamber. I will face any test, she said, her voice steady again. The room fell silent. One elder studied her closely. Your reaction today was weakness, he said. Kara lifted her chin. No, she replied. It was unfamiliar. Murmurs spread. Unfamiliar was dangerous. And the human, the elder continued. He will be part of it. Kara's eyes flickered, just once. Do not punish him, she said. The fault is mine. That shocked them more than the sword drop. The elder leaned back. Then you will both be tested, he said. A joint mission. Failure will mean exile. For him. And for you. Kara did not hesitate. I accept, she said. Far away, Ethan felt a strange chill, as if a decision had been made without him. Above the capital, storm clouds gathered. Not of weather, but of change. Laughter still echoed through the lower halls. But beneath it, something else had begun. A test that would decide more than honor. A test that would decide whether strength could exist without fear, and whether one careless human word had started a chain that could no longer be stopped. The announcement spread through the empire before sunrise. A joint mission, a warrior, and a human. Many laughed again when they heard it. Others frowned, because joint missions were never mercy. They were judgment. Veyra stood alone in the armory. Her sword rested on the rack in front of her. She stared at it without touching it. For the first time in her life, the blade had always answered her call. It had never hesitated, never fallen. Until now, behind her, the doors opened softly. Ethan stepped inside under guard watch. He stopped when he saw her, unsure if he should speak. Kara sensed him without turning. Her voice came low and controlled. You should not be here. Ethan swallowed. I was ordered, he said. She turned slowly. Her face was calm again. Too calm. The empire has a law, she said. Older than its stars. She picked up the sword, holding it carefully. As long as I have served, this law shaped my life. Ethan listened quietly. He had learned that silence mattered here. The law of strength, Kara continued. It says emotion weakens the blade. Attachment breaks discipline. Softness invites defeat. She looked directly at him. Today, they believe I broke that law. Ethan felt the weight of her words. I never wanted to cause trouble, he said. I just spoke honestly. Kara laughed once, short and sharp. Honesty is dangerous here, she replied. They were interrupted by a council officer. The mission details were delivered without ceremony. A forgotten battle zone. An ancient alien ruin. Energy signals detected. Unstable. Unpredictable. Retrieve the core, the officer said. Or do not return. No one asked if the human could survive. The assumption was already made. As the transport ship lifted off, tension filled the air. Kara stood rigid. Ethan sat strapped in, watching her from the side. You hate me, Ethan said quietly. Kara did not answer at first. Then she spoke. I hate what your word revealed. He frowned. I do not understand. She looked at him then. For years, I was praised because I felt nothing, she said. No fear, no warmth, no shame. Her fingers tightened slightly, and one word made me feel all of it. The ship landed hard near the ruins. Stone structures rose like broken teeth from the ground. The air was thick, charged. Danger breathed in silence here. They moved forward together, Kara leading, Ethan following carefully. Sensors flickered. Old machines stirred beneath the ground. Suddenly, the floor collapsed. Ethan fell through falling debris, shouting once before disappearing. Kara reacted without thinking. She dove after him, ignoring protocol, ignoring orders. She caught his arm just before he vanished into darkness. Her muscles strained. Her grip burned. Hold on, she shouted. Ethan looked up at her, fear clear on his face. I am sorry, he said. I did not mean to weaken you. Something broke inside her then. Not discipline, but the lie behind it. You did not weaken me, she said, pulling him up. You reminded me I am alive. The ground shook violently. Machines awakened fully. Energy beams flashed across the ruins. They ran together now. No orders. No ranks. Kara fought fiercely, but differently, protectively. When a blast came toward Ethan, she stepped in front without hesitation. Pain tore through her side, but she did not fall. Ethan screamed her name. The sound echoed through broken stone. In that moment, watching from distant feeds, the council saw everything. Not weakness, but choice. The law had said softness was forbidden, but the battlefield showed something else. Survival did not come from silence alone. It came from standing together. As the ruins burned around them, one truth became impossible to ignore. The law of strength was being challenged, not by rebellion, not by war, but by a warrior who chose to feel, and a human who refused to look away. The ruins shook harder as ancient machines fully awakened. Red warning lights cut through the dust-filled air. Energy beams sliced the ground where they had stood moments before. Kara pulled Ethan forward, her injured side burning with pain. She did not slow down. Pain had always been familiar to her. Ethan could see blood darkening her armor. You are hurt, he said urgently. We need to stop. No, Kara replied firmly. Stopping here means death. They reached a half-collapsed structure and took cover. Stone walls trembled as blasts struck nearby. The sound was endless, like an angry storm trapped underground. Ethan worked quickly on his wrist device, scanning signals, rerouting old systems by instinct. I can confuse them, he said, but I need time. Kara stepped out from cover without hesitation, sword raised, eyes sharp. What are you doing? Ethan shouted. Buying you time, she answered. She charged forward, not with rage, but with purpose. Her blade struck an ancient machine, sparks flying. Another machine turned toward her, weapons charging. Ethan watched in fear as she stood alone. Every teaching of the Empire said she should retreat, preserve strength, avoid attachment. But she did not retreat. A blast hit near her feet, throwing her back. She hit the ground hard. Her sword slid away across the stone. For a moment, the world slowed. The feared warrior lay weaponless again. Ethan ran toward her without thinking. No, Kara shouted. Stay back. He ignored her. He grabbed her arm and pulled her up, standing between her and the charging machine. I will not let you fall again, he said, his voice shaking. The machine fired. Light filled everything. Kara moved. She wrapped one arm around Ethan and turned, taking the blast across her back. She screamed, not from pain alone, but from fury at herself for caring. They collapsed together behind cover. Smoke filled the air. Silence followed for a heartbeat. Ethan pressed his hands against her wound. I am sorry, he whispered. This is my fault. Kara looked at him through the haze. No, she said slowly. This is my choice. Her sword lay a short distance away. She reached for it. Her hand stopped halfway. For the first time in her life, she hesitated, not because of fear, but because she realized something terrifying. She was no longer fighting alone. Ethan finished rerouting the systems. I can shut them down, he said. But if I do, the entire ruin will collapse. Kara nodded. Then we run. They moved together, step for step, covering each other. Machines shut down one by one. The ground began to crack. The ceiling started to fall. As they reached the exit, a final machine rose, larger than the others. Its weapon charged fast. Too fast. Kara pushed Ethan forward. No, he shouted, reaching back. She stood alone again, sword raised, body shaking. Then something unexpected happened. She lowered her sword and waited. The machine paused, confused by the lack of aggression. Ethan turned, shocked. Kara, he yelled. She looked back at him. A small, almost invisible smile crossed her face. Strength is not only the blade, she said. Ethan triggered the collapse. The machine froze as systems failed. Stone crashed down. Dust swallowed everything. They escaped just as the ruins fell behind them. Breathing hard. Alive. The transport ship arrived moments later. Medical teams rushed forward. Kara was lifted onto a stretcher. Her eyes never left Ethan. From the ship cameras, the council watched in stunned silence. They saw hesitation. They saw protection. They saw something their laws had never named. Connection. One elder spoke quietly. She disobeyed protocol. Another answered slower. She saved the mission. As the ship lifted into the sky, Kara finally closed her eyes. Exhausted, but not ashamed. Ethan sat beside her, hands clenched. He did not know what punishment waited, but he knew one truth now. The blade had hesitated, and the Empire would have to decide whether that hesitation was weakness or the beginning of something far more dangerous. The transport ship cut through the sky in silence. Inside, tension was heavier than gravity. Kara lay unconscious on the medical platform. Her armor removed, wounds treated. Her face calm, but pale. Ethan sat nearby, hands clasped tightly. He watched every small movement of her chest, afraid that if he looked away, something would change. Around them, alien medics worked without speaking. They avoided Ethan's eyes, not with anger, but with uncertainty. When the ship landed in the capital, the mood had already shifted. News of the mission had spread faster than truth. Stories twisted, details sharpened into weapons. In the public halls, warriors spoke loudly. Did you see her hesitate? She lowered her blade. That human weakened her. Laughter followed those words. Not friendly laughter, mocking laughter. Humans turn warriors soft. One word, one touch, and she forgets who she is. Ethan heard it all as he was escorted through the corridors. He kept his head down, but every word struck hard. Kara was moved to a guarded chamber near the warrior wing. He was not allowed inside. She needs rest, they said, but he knew that was not the full reason. Inside the High Council Hall, anger rose like fire. Holograms replayed the battle again and again. Paused at the moment Kara lowered her sword. There, one elder snapped. That hesitation. Another slammed his staff against the floor. She violated the law of strength. A younger commander spoke carefully. She also completed the mission. That earned him sharp looks. She protected a human. Another added with disgust. As if he mattered. Outside the hall, crowds gathered. Some curious, some angry, some entertained by the scandal. A warrior woman once feared by all was now being questioned. Ethan was summoned suddenly. Guards led him into a smaller chamber. The air cold, the walls bare. A council officer stood waiting. You will answer, he said. Ethan nodded. I will. Why did you interfere? The officer asked. Why did you stand between a warrior and danger? Ethan did not hesitate. Because she would have done the same for me, he said. The officer frowned. That is not how strength works. That is how survival works. Ethan replied quietly. The officer stared at him for a long moment, then turned away. Humans, he muttered. Always confusing things. In another wing, Kara slowly opened her eyes. Pain returned first, then memory, the ruins, the machines. Ethan. She sat up sharply, ignoring the pain. Guards moved instantly. Where is the human? She demanded. He is safe, one replied. For now. That answer angered her more than pain ever could. She rose from the platform, unsteady but determined. I will see the council, she said. You are not cleared, the guard protested. She looked at him, eyes sharp despite exhaustion. I was never cleared to feel either, she replied. When Kara entered the public corridor, whispers exploded. Some stepped back. Some laughed openly. So this is the warrior who dropped her blade, one voice said loudly. Another added. All because a human called her sweet. Kara stopped walking. The corridor fell quiet. She turned slowly, her voice calm, dangerous. I did not drop my blade, she said. I chose when to lift it. That silenced them, but only for a moment. The council chamber doors opened soon after. Ethan and Kara stood on opposite sides of the room, separated by distance. By law, the elders spoke without mercy. You have embarrassed the warrior order. You have allowed humanity to mock us. Kara stepped forward, ignoring protocol. No, she said. You mock yourselves. Gasps filled the hall. She continued. You praise strength, but fear choice. You fear anything you cannot control. One elder rose in fury. Enough, he shouted. The human will be removed from the capital. Ethan felt the words hit like a blow. Kara reacted instantly. No, she said louder now. If he leaves, I leave. The chamber exploded into chaos. Voices clashed. Old laws rattled. The queen's seat, silent until now, began to glow. A signal that authority was about to speak. Because mockery had gone too far. Strength had been questioned. And something far more dangerous than rebellion was forming. A bond. And the Empire was about to learn that mocking humanity was the fastest way to awaken it. The council chamber shook with noise and anger. Voices overlapped. Tradition fought fear, and fear fought change. Ethan stood still at the center, surrounded by beings far stronger than him. Yet he did not lower his eyes. Kara stood beside him now, ignoring the rules that demanded distance. Her presence alone forced silence. "You would abandon your order," an elder accused. "For a human," Kara answered without hesitation. "I would abandon lies," she said. "Not my honor." Murmurs spread fast, some furious, some uncertain. The great doors opened slowly, heavy metal echoing across the chamber, and all voices died instantly. The queen had arrived. She moved with calm authority, her armor ceremonial, her gaze sharp and calculating. She looked first at Kara, then at Ethan, then at the council. "I have watched," the queen said. "Every moment." No one dared interrupt. "You saw hesitation," she continued, "and called it weakness." She turned her head slightly. "I saw restraint." That single word shifted the air. The elders exchanged looks. "Uneasy now?" "Kara Veyra," the queen said. "You have served without flaw for many cycles. You were shaped by our laws." Kara bowed her head slightly. "Yes, my queen." "And yet," the queen added, "you chose differently." "Yes," Kara replied. "I chose consciously." The queen nodded slowly, then turned to Ethan. "Human," she said. "You were warned that words here carry weight." Ethan swallowed. "I understand," he replied. "Then answer me," the queen said. "Why did you stand between a warrior and death?" Ethan took a breath. "Because strength should protect," he said, "not dominate." Gasps rippled through the chamber. The queen studied him closely. "For centuries," she said, "we taught our warriors to cut away emotion, to become weapons." Her voice lowered. "And yet our greatest victories were never won by weapons alone." She turned back to the council. "You mock humanity," she said. "Yet this human crossed fire for one of ours." Silence returned, heavier than before. An elder finally spoke. "If this continues," he said, "our order will break." The queen stepped forward. "Or it will evolve," she answered. She raised her hand. "The law of strength will be tested." Shock exploded through the chamber. Kara's eyes widened slightly. Even she had not expected this. "The law was meant to ensure survival," the queen continued. "If it now threatens survival, it must answer for itself." She looked directly at Kara. "You will choose." The room froze. "Choose," the queen repeated. "Your path, your loyalty." Kara felt every eye on her, every expectation, every fear. She looked at Ethan, not as a warrior, not as a symbol, but as someone who had seen her hesitate, and did not turn away. "I choose truth," Kara said. "I choose to stand with the one who reminded me I am more than a blade." The chamber erupted. Some shouted betrayal. Others shouted hope. The queen raised her hand again. "Then so it is," she declared. "The human will remain. And Kara Veyra will no longer be bound by silent obedience." Outside the palace, alarms echoed softly, not warning of attack, but signaling change. Warrior orders across the capital reacted, some in anger, some in fear. Ethan felt the weight of the moment crash down on him. "What happens now?" he whispered. Kara answered quietly. "Now we survive the consequences." From the shadows beyond the city, foreign observers watched the transmission, noting the fracture, noting the human at its center, because an empire that questioned its own laws was more dangerous than one that followed them blindly. As the council session ended, the queen remained seated, her expression unreadable. She knew what she had allowed, a choice, and choices spread faster than rebellion. Kara and Ethan walked out together, not hand in hand, but side by side. Above them, the empire's banners fluttered, for the first time in generations, not symbolizing obedience, but uncertainty. And in that uncertainty, humanity had found its place. The capital did not celebrate the queen's decision. It held its breath instead. Change had entered the empire quietly, and quiet change was the most dangerous kind. Kara and Ethan were given temporary quarters near the outer wing of the palace. Not honored guests, not prisoners, something in between. From the windows, they could see patrol ships moving more often than usual. Warrior orders adjusting positions, eyes watching, judging. Ethan felt it clearly. "They are waiting," he said, "for us to fail." Kara nodded slowly. "Yes," she replied, "and for me to break." She stood near the window, arms crossed, her armor removed, replaced with simple clothing. She looked different without steel and weapons. Still strong, but human eyes could now see something more. For the first time in her life, Kara was not certain of tomorrow. Battle had always been simple. Win or die? This was harder. That night, alarms echoed softly through the city. Not the sound of invasion, but of internal alert. A message spread across the warrior network. A formal challenge. One of the highest-ranked commanders had issued it. A public trial, not of combat alone, but of ideology. If Veyra believes strength can coexist with softness, the message declared, let her prove it before the Empire. Ethan felt fear twist in his chest. They will kill you, he said. Kara's expression did not change. They already planned to, she replied. The arena was prepared again, but this time it felt different. The crowd was larger, the silence heavier. Warriors filled the stands. Civilians watched from high platforms. Humans, too, scattered and tense. Kara entered the arena alone. No ceremony, no dramatic display. Across from her stood Commander Rax. Massive, armored, confident. A symbol of the old law. You embarrassed us, Rax said loudly. Now you will remind us who we are. Kara lifted her chin. No, she replied calmly. I will show you who we can become. The duel began instantly. Rax attacked with overwhelming force. Blades crashing, energy flaring. Kara defended. Not rushing, not retreating. The crowd shouted for blood. They wanted a clear answer. Strength or weakness? Rax struck hard, forcing Kara back. Your hesitation makes you slow, he mocked. Kara absorbed the blow. Pain spread through her arm, but she did not lose control. You mistake feeling for fear, she said. Rax laughed and charged again. But this time, Kara moved differently. She anticipated. She adapted. She disarmed him with a precise motion. Not lethal, but absolute. The commander froze, weaponless. The arena fell silent. Kara stepped back instead of striking. I could end you, she said. But I choose restraint. Shock rippled through the crowd. Rax stared at her, humiliated. Finish it, he demanded. No, Kara answered. Because strength that needs destruction to prove itself is already afraid. The duel ended there. Not with death, but with surrender. High above, the queen stood slowly. Her voice carried across the arena. The trial is complete. No cheers followed. Only understanding, slow and heavy. Ethan watched from the human section, his hands shaking, his eyes burning. For the first time, the Empire had seen a warrior win by choosing not to destroy. Later, as night returned to the capital, Kara found Ethan waiting in the quiet corridor. You changed everything, he said softly. Kara shook her head. No, she replied. You did. She paused, then added. You spoke one honest word. Ethan smiled faintly. I still cannot believe calling you sweet started all this. Kara hesitated, then surprised herself. She smiled too. A real smile. Small, uncertain, but unmistakable. Across the Empire, discussions began. Warrior orders questioned old teachings. Humans were no longer ignored. Enemies watching from distant stars adjusted their plans. Because an empire that learned to feel was an empire that could not be predicted. As the lights of the capital dimmed, a new story spread quietly. Not of conquest, not of fear, but of a warrior who learned that strength did not disappear when she felt. It transformed, and of a human who proved that sometimes the most powerful weapon was a single honest word.